I'm very excited to be here. I think it's a great meeting, great event. We had an incredibly interesting meeting in the morning with the cities. So I think it's time to say a few words about what capacity is, because you've heard a lot today, maybe past days too. Well, we're a huge CSA, I would say. We're a project funded by the European Commission, and I'm happy we have here with us the European Commission. Laura is somewhere in the crowd, I think, and also our Net Zero Cities colleagues. We involve more than 100 entities from 15 European countries. We have on board ministries, funding agencies, unions or associations of municipalities, and we have supporting countries that follows our activities like Germany, Ukraine, Bulgaria, for an example. Let's see. It should, but I can go without it if that's... All right. Yeah, so this is our map. I wanted to show us how many we are on board in this project. We have this ambition to set up national support structures. They have different names in different countries. They are either hubs, Group Miroir, it depends on what the country prefers. So we have these support structures with national authorities that work together to put in place measures to support you, the cities, in your work towards climate neutrality. If it works, yes. So what do? We want to empower the authorities. We want to teach, to support them and to facilitate the exchange among our 15 European countries to help them better work together to put these measures in place to support the mission cities implementation in their national context. And what we do, we're not here out of nowhere. We started with JPI Urban Europe in 2012, and then we are continuing with the current Driving Urban Transition Partnership. Some partners from this huge consortium, which comprises 28 countries, are partners in capacities. So we do these support activities to really advance the mission cities at national level. We link to Net Zero Cities city advisors quite a lot. We learn from them and from their conversations with the cities, and we take this into our capacity building sessions delivered by our partners in Europe to familiarize authorities with what the problems are and what they need to put in place to facilitate and support their cities. Then we take all this learning and we spread it into our Driving Urban Transition network. Again, yes. So our activities are mainly focused on support. Yeah, we don't do funding in this project. We do that with Driving Urban Transition Partnership. What I do here, it's first of all create this space for exchange. It's Transnational Mission Alliance. There we have a lot of countries coming in, publicly expressing their problems in what exactly means to put funding together for cities, how complicated it is to deal with some ministries that are not allowed to put money with other ministries, so concrete cases. We have a Transnational Mission Alliance on 10th of October in Brussels, inside European Weeks of Regions and Cities, so go there if you are there. And then another thing we are doing in other project is we're preparing a learning portfolio that will be available soon. And we do capacity building sessions. Our partners in Europe treat this very seriously, and I know we have huge attendance from Turkey, so thank you all for being there and learning from other authorities on how they work and how they learn on how to deal with green gas emissions, let's say, greenhouse emissions, sorry, or how they can actually put funding in practice in their national context. And we do have Transition Labs methodology, which is, my time is expiring, which is brought in by Viable Cities, our partners in Sweden. And if you have other questions, I'm here. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your speech. And now I want to invite Serhat Melik to introduce Driving Urban Transitions Partnership to us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Serhat Melik. I am working in the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey. It is a pleasure to see such a nice, let's say, crowd meeting room. It is really enthusiastic and inspiring for us for organizing similar events in the future. So, together with my colleague and I, we are dealing with driving urban transition to a sustainable future in acronym called as DUT partnership. Due to our time constraint, I'll try to keep it very short and briefly mention and inform you about what is it about and alert you about the ongoing call. So, actually, it is a partnership it is a public-public partnership. European Commission and 28 countries join resources, pooling their resources in order to find solutions to the urban challenges through research and innovation activities. So approximately between 2022 to 2028, 450 million euros are earmarked for that partnership. Actually, there are three main pillars. These are positive energy districts, the 15-minute cities, and circular urban economies. Just briefly, I would like to state that the positive energy district is about to provide energy transition in urban areas through optimization of, let's say, energy efficiency, and also generation of energy, mostly from renewable energy resources, and also provide energy flexibility in urban areas. In 15-minute cities, of course, there are different definitions of 15-minute cities in different geographical areas, but in DUT partnership, generally, it refers to the involving the majority of the activities of city dwellers within 15 minutes radius by walking and by cycling. So in order to do that, in order to fostering sustainable urban mobility, it is required to increase both accessibility and connectivity related activities. And the circular urban economies, it is also related to increase the transition through circularity within the city through nature-based solutions or the more using of green and blue infrastructure, and also increase the circularity of, let's say, urban resources. So, actually, the first call was already started and completed, and 6 projects from Turkey have been funded. We appreciate for the interest, of course, of Turkish stakeholders. And in 2023, a new call in the 1st of September has already been launched. So these are the countries that participating the call. You can actually MARUF, Marmara Urban Forum, gives us a great opportunity because it's an international event. You can also, if you see the name of your country in the slide, please meet people and try to make connection in order to make collaboration for that particular call. So actually, please also check the guideline of the call text and the national annexes, because each national funding agency or ministry have different peculiar rules of funding and type of projects. So these are the 9 topics. As I mentioned, there are 3 transition pathways, and each one is covering 3 different topics. And each country is investing separately, maybe, but as Turkey, actually, we involved all 9 topics to fund. And also for the upcoming calls, I believe the time, I couldn't show the timeline, but yeah. So I will continue. So actually, it is a two-stage call. The first stage, yeah, thank you very much. You can also see the dead timeline. The first stage will be closed, the international one, in the 21st of, let's say, November. And if your proposal is succeed after the evaluation, you will be invited to second stage on February 2024. Of course, several national agencies require national submission according to their rules. For instance, as TÜBİTAK, we are also requiring a national submission as well. But regarding to the transnational eligibility criteria, it is required to create a consortium with 3 different legal entities from the eligible countries. 2 of them should be from European Union or associated countries to Horizon Europe. And you will check the eligibility criteria. Please also carefully check your national conditions. For instance, as Turkey, we have a different program specially created for that international collaboration, and there are different conditions for it. You will check it. For your international cooperation, there is a tool, Unimanager. You will actually submit your proposal through it. There's also a partnering tool. There is a website for it. You can visit and create a strong profile, and you will request meetings in order to make collaboration. And in the upcoming week, on the 10th of October, there is also an information session online. You can also pitch your project idea or listen who is doing what and looking for actors. Thank you very much for listening to me. If you have more questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Serhat Bey. Now we are continuing with the session, STEES Learning from STEES, Planning and Implementing Green and Smart Urban Transitions. Now I want to give microphone to Dr. Şiir Kılkış from TÜBİTAK and also member of the European Union Mission Board of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. It's one of the most exciting sessions. We have some slides. If we can open the slides. Sunum açabilir miyiz lütfen? So in this session, we will be focusing on cities learning from cities, planning and implementing green and urban transitions. And this is supporting the European Mission on Climate Neutral and Smart Cities. Next slide, please. So we have the urgency of climate change with us. And when we see and question how we can change our climate future, it is doing something locally. So from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports, we know the urgency of climate change. We are seeing it the increasing frequency and intensity of climate impacts, but we also have to know that the solutions are with us and they are present locally. So cities, they have great potential to learn from one another in shifting our climate future towards a more safe and secure and resilient future with also the very low emissions. So I'm Şiir Kılkış. I'm from TÜBİTAK. I'm a senior researcher at TÜBİTAK. I'm also a member of the expert group of the Mission Board of Climate Neutral and Smart Cities, and also elected vice chair of Working Group 3 on mitigation on IPCC. And we have 7 city representatives with us. Please, as I introduce you, please come to the stage. These 7 city representatives are coming from Bologna. We have Mauro Bigi, who is working in the city of Bologna as on citizen engagement and coordinator of public design and research, urban innovation foundation. We have Cluj-Napoca and Marcel Pirvu, who is also working on the circular economy and nature-based solutions from Cluj-Napoca Municipality. And next we have Alejandro Gómez, and he's working on the as an energy officer in the Valencia Climate and Energy. coming from Spain. And as you can see, I also tried to put some pictures so you can imagine how these cities are looking and how all of these cities with different characteristics, they're trying to work and go towards climate neutrality. Next, we have from Marseille, Mathilde Chaboche. She is working as an urban planner on the municipality and counselor to the municipality. And she has great experience to share with us. We know this as Mytilene, our very close neighbor, Mr. Panagiotis Voulellis. He's urban planner again, coming from Mytilene municipality. Next, from Konya, we have Yunus Balık. He's working in the Division of Environment and Climate Change of Konya Municipality and also in the Climate Change and Zero Waste department. And from Eskisehir, we have Vural Yıldırım, who is in the Climate Change and Energy Management department. And he's a data scientist from Eskisehir municipality. So in this session, we will have this great exchange, whether it's through renewable energy, citizen engagement, urban planning, but we are trying to trigger cities learning from cities. And not only the cities that we see visualized here, but many other cities who we have twinned with, partnered with, and we will have 3 questions in this session. So I would like to start now with round 1. On our first round, we will be open to sharing some successful examples of planning and implementing green and smart urban transitions in your city. In the order that I introduced, I would like to invite Bologna. What are some of the planning and implementing best practices coming from your city?
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that we think that green and smart transition are very complex. And we need to have an integrated approach. We cannot think just about green, just about smart, but we need also to integrate justice, gender, economic and job transition, and have a common approach. This approach, in our case, is based on a quintuple helix. So we try to involve in the transition, the institution, the research world, the companies, but also the NGOs and citizens. We're trying to have specific tools to involve each of these helix. And we try to work on different levels. An onboarding level to have more organization, more groups possible on board, co-designing and also co-managing the solutions we are identifying. For example, we're doing this with our communities of people within the participatory budgeting process that we implement every year. Every year we start with some labs in each neighborhood where people come to discuss which are the priorities in their opinion, which are the main tasks related to urban renovation and urban regeneration. And then in a second round of meetings, they can propose some projects, concretely propose projects. And at the end of this co-designing process, all the citizens can vote for their preferred project. This year, for example, we involved more than 1,000 people in our labs. We had more than 20,000 voters among citizens, residents, and also students that are not residents, but they, of course, leave the city. 3 million of budget every year are put by the municipality to implement those projects. The communities that proposed a project that will be voted and implemented are also engaged in the implementation. So we have a final co-designing process with the municipal technicians to define the project, and then they can manage the new area that will be created. We also introduced a new professional figure that we call proximity agent. They work in each neighborhood every day. They talk with all the communities of people, with all the groups, and they connect their needs, their ideas with the municipality. So we try to work every day with people. We've been doing this since 2018, but starting from 2022, with the mission, we decided to introduce the climate neutrality topics into all the process. So every project has to cope with the neutrality challenges. Proposers must evaluate their projects considering energy, the green impact, mobility, or the materials they propose to use in their projects. So in this way, we're trying to bring the mission topic, something that sometimes seems so high, into a very concrete and close to the everyday life of citizens. This is an example.
Thank you, Bologna, for also showing the local solutions as close as it gets with the proximity agents. So I think it's a very good example of working with the people. I would like to continue with Cluj-Napoca. What are your some planning and implementation practices?
Yes, thank you. It's a very similar approach as Bologna has, and of course it's a lot of the cities that you represent here also have. We are based on the quintuple helix also, and we try to be the liaison between all the actors in the city, and we do that on a continuous basis. And of course, in terms of planning and also implementing projects, the input that the local stakeholders give to us is very, very important. We gather it through different instruments, but one of them is relevant in this topic. I'm talking about the Civic Imagination and Innovation Center, which is effectively a space where local specialists, academia, business, and of course citizens, any citizen can join and input their ideas on new strategic developments in the city. That's the way that we implemented all of our strategic papers when we're talking about the integrated development strategy, the urban mobility plan, the SECAP, everything was also done with the help of the input of the local stakeholders. And of course, earlier, when Laura asked me about our secret, because of course Cluj-Napoca is one of the 100 cities and one of those who already had prepared the contract for signing in March. So she asked me what was the secret, and I told her, of course joking, but I told her that a lot of extra hours, that was the secret. It's true. But other than the extra hours, I think it's also about the very valuable input that we had from these strategic documents that were already in place. And of course, further on, the help of all academia. Cluj-Napoca is known as a university center. 1/4 of the population is below 30, so a lot of youth, a lot of energy. And they were there to support us. A lot of energy also from the business sector. We have 7 business clusters in Cluj-Napoca, and also we have a very, very strong team of consultants from the World Bank. They are behind us in every step. So I think from our perspective, from Cluj-Napoca's perspective, this is the secret for great planning and also for the implementation, because when you get all these stakeholders in planning, then when you are trying to implement, they are also part of the implementation, and it's easier for them to implement something that they inputted in the first place.
Thank you very much, Cluj-Napoca, and mobilizing the universities, private sector, and research institutions, and all the people, I think is very crucial and key. Now, Valencia, you might have a similar experience. We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree more, so I'm afraid I don't want to repeat what has already been said, but I was planning to explain also how we design our strategies and our policies, and we have also working groups. For instance, in the energy field, what we call the Energy Transition Roundtable, that is basically a group of around 30, 40 entities coming from the private sector, the public administration, the civil society, the academia, and the media also, because we decided to include journalists and the mass media also in the group. And it's this Energy Transition Roundtable is the main body of governance of the energy field, in which we define and also implement our energy transition strategy. But as many things have been already said, I also wanted to just give some concrete example of one of our projects that have been very successful in Valencia, that came also from this Energy Transition Roundtable. And that is the energy offices. The energy office, we started with one energy office in 2019. We have now 4 of them in the city. It's basically a one-stop shop in the city for everything that is related to energy. So basically it's an office in which a citizen or a professional can go and ask anything they want related to energy, and they will get free technical and quality assistance from the municipality, going from understanding their bills, the electricity and gas bills, what are they paying, and if they could improve them or pay less, to renovating their houses, putting renewable energies in their roofs, starting a new energy community. So everything that's related to energy, they know that there is a place in which they can go and get this support and this guidance from the municipality. And it's a very concrete example of something that has been very successful to transform the energy culture of the city, because the team on the energy offices is very diverse. We have engineers and architects, but we also have social employees, and we also have educators or teachers, because we have this idea of not being very technical, but being able to bring this energy culture to the city and to the neighbors in which we are. And also to collaborate, we collaborate a lot with other departments of the municipality, so bringing this holistic implementation of projects. For instance, we collaborate a lot with the social services and with social NGOs of the city to work with vulnerable people, energy poor people that cannot pay their energy bills, and we help them along the process, from understanding their bills to understanding their energy habits and improving them, to again renovating, being part of an energy community and things like that. And yeah, this is a very practical example from which these energy offices, a lot of different projects and initiatives have emerged. For instance, we were able to create the first energy community of the city. That was a bottom-up process facilitated by the energy office, and now we have 5 or 6 energy communities around the city already starting to self-consume renewable energy in a collaborative way, and really not only consuming renewable energy, but also having this sense of ownership and empowerment of being part of the energy model and not only being consumers of the energy model. So yeah, this is one of the very practical examples that I wanted to share.
Thank you. Valencia, the mission is also about shifting the energy model, so how to increase the energy communities, and 1 to 5, 6 is very impressive, and hopefully we will see maybe 20, 30 in the near future, but very promising for shifting the focus. Now I would like to go to Marcel. Mathilde, I would like to ask you, as an urban planner also, how do you provide the example from planning and implementation?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yes, I think that urban planning is one of the key if you want to adapt a city to the climate change it has to face. We can develop many little projects, concrete things, but if we don't integrate that in a broad vision, that requires to be brave in the management of public policies, then we won't reach the target. So what we did in Marseille is 3 years ago to start a diagnosis to understand the situation. We're a city in a deep and critical vulnerability facing climate change. We're close to the Mediterranean Sea. We face heat waves very, very high. We lack of public water, we lack of water to be drinkable for the people, and we have to deal with that in a city where money used to be the leader, money used to be the rule, and we're not very strict on rules in Marseille. For those of them who maybe know the city, the private sector has a very important weight, and it's used to trigger, to orient the public policies. So what we did is first to share the diagnosis. The diagnosis is that the city cannot be livable in the coming years if we don't change and reorient all the urban development strategy. So that's a technical word, say bioclimatism, I don't know how to say that in English, bioclimatism, in the global plan of urban development. We have to struggle against the urban spread, the urban sprawl, which led us to have eaten all the nature around the city, and now we lack of nature. We don't have public parks, we have many little of them, and we properly can't breathe in the city during the heat waves. So this requires to be brave. This requires not to say, okay, well, you can do your project. Maybe it's not that good for the city, but maybe we can let you do that. And that's not very easy because you are facing economical interests of big importance. So what we did is to work with the people, not to say we will make the rules and people will have to comply with them. No, we said we will build new rules for the urban planning together. It was not easy, but we managed to do so. And that very concretely leads the professional of the retail, the household building, to deal with upcycling, rehabilitation, reconstruction, more than building new buildings far and far away from the city, how it used to be. So that's not very clear to identify as a small project, but that's mainstreaming the climate issues, and I think it's really important, even though the challenge always is how you make sure that every little decision that some people of your administration will make will go in the right direction. As an example, we have a team working on swimming pools, because we lack of swimming pools in Marseille, and they're working on a complete different direction. They're imagining very big swimming pools with toboggans and wave in the swimming pools that will be an expense of energy and water absolutely crazy. And when I said to them, no, we can't do that because this is absolutely the opposite of what we're trying to do, they were like, you don't want to swim, Mathilde? And I was like, no, it's just we have to be coherent. We have to go all in the same way. And I think that's the biggest challenge, because sometimes, even if we have a climate contract strategy, we're very proud of it, but the problem is who reads it and who really incorporates it in its day-to-day professional practice. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have to face.
Thank you very much. Also connecting, maybe if we plan cities more networked, connected, accessible, it can also support energy communities, more buildings trading with their neighbors, and it's also shifting. Next, I would like to ask Mytilene about again, continuing with the urban planning, what are some planning and implementation, and maybe even beyond, what are some of your best practices?
Hello. Thank you very much for the invitation. I would like to answer the question not only as a representative of the municipality of Mytilene, but also as a member of the task force of the Ministry of Energy and Environment in Greek area. It's critical that before 2022, the things that has to do with planning and implementing green and smart urban transition was not a matter of interest for our municipalities. But then we have the national climate law. Things changed rapidly. From 2022, Greek government create a similar program like the 100 neutral and smart cities. So we have a Greek mission for cities. This means that we help all the Greek cities to promote climate neutrality. So on February, we signed with 85 municipalities of Greece. One of them also is Mytilene. And we help them not only with technical help, but also economically, to create their own action plan, investment plan, and communication plan. This is very important because, okay, there is the EU train, but we need to create another train to prepare our municipalities with what means climate neutrality, what they have to do in order to transform themselves. So in Mytilene, we have been proactive in implementing specific action plans aimed at promoting sustainable mobility, redesigning our land with the help of RRF, and also we renovate our city center in order to be greener and more sustainable. One of our major initiatives is the comprehensive redevelopment of the city. It's very crucial for us, which includes the port area. We have also developed a very detailed plan for the placement of electric vehicles charges, and also we have already replaced some of our municipality vehicles with electric alternatives. And of course, the energy must be from renewable energy production. But still, it's true that we face challenges, particularly with the quality of our electric grid, which has caused significant delays. It's true. Despite also these challenges, there is a high demand for both rooftop photovoltaic system and large renewable energy investments. Another thing that is I think it's a good practice is data and how we use digital tools in order to collect data, because without data we cannot estimate, we cannot understand where is the problem. So we create electronic platforms in order to collect data from the energy sector, from building sector, and we use them in order to take good decisions for implementing solutions for climate neutrality.
So you mentioned many things from renewable energy to making the city center, renovating the city center. So I think these are very good examples. Now we heard the international examples, but we're all working in the same goal. So, but I would like to go to now the Turkish cities. Konya Metropolitan Municipality. Lütfen bahseder misiniz iyi uygulamalarınızdan?
Teşekkürler. Öncelikle size Konya'dan bahsedeyim.
Tell you about Konya first of all. Konya has the greatest land area of Turkey, and it is one of the cities that is impacted by climate change the most across Turkey. Of course, this creates more of a workload on us, but we know what we need to do. We identify our needs, and in 2019, we first created our greenhouse gas emission inventory. And as the Konya Metropolitan Municipality, we also created our mitigation action plans. And there is the project to enhance climate adaptation in Turkey, executed by the UN, and the beneficiary is the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change. And as part of this project, we conducted our risk assessment. We went all the way down to the districts as we were doing this, and then we focused on 11 different sectors to understand what we can do. And we looked at a wide scope of subjects from transportation all the way to agriculture. And currently we have submitted our report to the ministry. And once it is approved, we will initiate our actions. And also with the World Resources Institute, we have the Zero Carbon Buildings project. There are 4 pilot cities across the world. 2 of them are Colombia, 2 of them are in Turkey, and 1 in Turkey is Konya. And up to 2050, we intend the construction sector to be decarbonized, and we are preparing our adaptation plans. And we prepared our clean air action plans. I can wait. As of next year, we will have our clean air action plan updated for 2025 to 2029. As the Konya Metropolitan Municipality, we also created our carbon footprint inventory. And we also want to neutralize the carbon emissions caused by municipal services. And an important project that we have is, it's a reality in Turkey. There is still a lot of coal use in Turkey, and it creates a lot of air pollution. And we focused on the historical city center and the Mevlana area. We had a natural gas transformation project, and we enabled our citizens to use natural gas. So in the first phase, we completed quite a few, and now for the second phase, we have natural gas transformation plans for other citizens. There are around 55,000 households that use coal across Konya, and we intend for all of them to start using natural gas. And all of our projects were done in collaboration with the university, and we as a result of the reports, we said that we will have 60% reduction in carbon greenhouse gas emissions and 99.5% reduction in air pollution. And we are also working towards preserving the biodiversity. There is a very low amount of rainfall in the Konya region, and we have the Mekke Lake. It's called, it's referred to as a very important area, but the underground waters are not there anymore, and we are working towards improving the biodiversity in this region. And we also have the Salt Lake area, and the flamingos there were not able to find enough nutrition due to drought, and we are working towards finding a solution for that as well. We also need to raise awareness as we are doing all of this. Citizens, NGOs, and public institutions need to be informed about what climate change is. So we focused on this, and there was a pedestrianized area in the center of Konya, and we created a project called Ecological Corridor, and around 60,000 people come on weekdays, and 80 to 90,000 people visit the area on weekends. So this was a good spot to raise awareness and tell people about the impacts of climate change. So we ran this project, and for primary and secondary school students, we are explaining what green spaces are and the importance of agriculture. So we have our school vegetable and fruit gardens in 140 schools, and we plan to bring that to life next year. We have our climate change zero waste theme park project. There we will explain what zero waste is and what climate change is. It will actually be an area where they can experience this. It will be a theme park where they can have experiences around climate change and theme park. We also have our Climate and Women project, which is still ongoing. And energy and water saving can be initiated in households through women, and we believe we can then disseminate it across society once women start the saving process. And as the Konya Metropolitan Municipality and the Water and Sewage Administration of Konya, we have a 100 megawatt
bağlantı izinleri alındı. Yakın zamanda bunu da hayata geçirmeyi planlıyoruz.
A gas project, and it's a solar energy power plant that we are working on, and we have a very long bicycle road in Konya, and we are adding solar panels, or we're planning to add solar panels on these. In the 5-kilometer part, we have already received the permissions for all these solar panel connections, and we will bring that to life very soon. And we also have our transportation management system. There are around 102 smart junctions, and based on traffic intensity, the duration of the traffic lights are arranged. So this has an impact on mitigation of carbon emissions. And we have the Yes Tere criteria, the National Green Certificate criteria, and we are planning to have all our buildings built in line with this criteria, and the Konya Library is the first example. And Konya, as I said, receives the least amount of rainfall across Turkey, so we don't have very many green areas, so we are working on creating these. And agriculture is very important for us. We are very important for the food security of our country. Our underwater and surface water is very low, so we need to focus on this. We are giving irrigation training to farmers to ensure their efficient use of water. And we also had some land which was not suitable for agriculture. Now we gave lavender seedlings or saplings to the farmers in that area so they can start planting. In this way, it creates income for the farmers, and we also ensure that those areas become areas where agriculture can take place. And as of 2014, we also started using sludge that we generated in agriculture, and we also have our water treatment facility where treated water goes through secondary treatment and then is used for irrigation in green areas. And we have already prepared this project, and it's part of our investment plan already. Daily 400,000 cubic meters of water will be treated
So we heard the 100 megawatts, the renewable energy, and maybe that can be enlarged with even energy communities. So Valencia is sitting right by, and we also heard about the bicycle path also. Eskisehir, now we come to you.
Yes, actually I have a presentation, and thank you for inviting us and for being able to introduce our projects. It doesn't. You may see here we have many projects related to today's issue. However, I will explain some of them because of the limited time. I would like to introduce Eskisehir Urban Development Project, and it has three components as Natural Disaster Risk Minimization Project, Eskisehir Light Rail Transportation Project, and Wastewater Treatment Project. Natural Disaster Risk Minimization Project was implemented on the Porsuk River, and this river passes through the city and divides the city into two parts. Before the project, you can see the picture, it had become a sewage channel due to household and industrial wastes discharged into the river. And there is another problem we are facing with floods. Due to sudden and heavy rains. The floods not just the problem, but also the bridges were not resistant to possible earthquakes. So, by the implementing of the project, necessary arrangements were made to prevent the risk of the disasters, such as water level controller structures were constructed. And the river bed was cleaned, and after landscaping arrangements were made along the riverside. And also the bridges were reconstructed. And today rowing and canoe races are organizing on the river, and concerts are arranged on a platform on the Porsuk River. There is another component of the project which is Estram Light Rail Transportation Project. Before the project, main streets of Eskisehir was faced with traffic congestion. However, by the implementing of the project, the rail were built through the city, and also in the city center some main streets were pedestrianized, so it reduced the carbon dioxide emission in the city center. Also we have been increased the green areas, and we built two large-scale parks following this project, and it has many structures like as underwater world or amphitheater. This is the picture of the Kent Park, and there is an artificial beach in this park. And this is our Science, Art and Culture Park. You can see a castle in this park. The towers of the castle are replicas. The towers other cities in Turkey. We built integrated solid waste conversion and energy generation facility. This facility generates electricity by converting the waste into biogas, and during the process, waste heat energy comes existing, and it is using in the greenhouse on site. And the other workings as we are preparing on SECAP and SAMP, and it is planning to complete them end of this year. And also we prepared the transportation master plan. It is the first prepared plan in Turkey. We carry out the rising activities, awareness rising activities by festivals, workshop programs, and facility tours. And also, we are following our commitments by the membership of the international organization. And also, we are building our institutional capacities with necessities and the other organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Eskisehir. Using the waterways is also a very efficient way to increase the efficiency of transport. So you have the electric trams and also using the waterways. That's a natural endowment of the city. Returning now to the second round, so maybe we can project the second round question. The European Union is shifting the agenda. So now we are shifting all the measures for climate neutrality. We're also using the European Mission on Climate Neutrality to accelerate the progress towards climate neutrality. At the same time, we recognize that we need more integrated approaches. So the second question is relating to how can more integrated urban planning for reaching climate mitigation targets and climate neutrality be accelerated? So we just heard what you are doing, but how even we can accelerate this more? Balogna, please.
Yes, honestly, we already have really ambitious urban plans. So we don't need another plan, and we don't need that the climate city contract is another plan. We need it as a sort of movement of the city. We must, as I was mentioning, engage all the city on these. And time is the key resource. We need to accelerate the implementation of these plans. This is what we need, and we have to cope with some very concrete challenges that affect the life of citizens. For example, in Bologna, 70% of the emission we have to cut come from buildings, and most of the buildings are owned by citizens. So we thought that we had to directly involve citizens in the definition of our contract. That's why the City Council established at the end of last year a climate citizens assembly. 100 randomly selected citizens are working to propose recommendation and proposals to the City Council. There are 80 residents sorted by gender, age, and from different neighborhoods, and 20 city users, students from the university and commuters. The City Council set 3 specific questions to these citizens, quite complicated questions, I have to say. The first is related with energy transition, how to accelerate the energy transition. The second one is related with climate resilience and how to improve the urban resilience. And the third one is about plans, rules, and local services that have to be changed to reach neutrality. The Citizens' Assembly has 9 meetings to give an answer to these questions. The first 2 meetings were related to training. Researchers and university professors explained what we were talking about, climate change impacts and possible solutions. Then 2 meetings were with local stakeholders, activists, companies, also business association came to explain to the assembly their position on these issues. And now we have 5 meetings for the deliberation with a group of facilitators. We are helping these citizens in producing specific proposals and recommendations to the City Council. The City Council has 4 months to discuss and vote each of the recommendations and proposals by the citizens. In case they reject or they modify one of these proposals, a motivation must be set. So the idea is that all these proposals that come from the citizens and go into the institution, into the City Council, are discussed and then become part of the Climate City contract that we plan to sign next spring. So we try to give a specific role to citizens to set specific proposals and strategies that affect directly their lives.
Thank you very much. It's a very good example, also co-creation for the integrated approach together with the Citizen Assembly. Now we go to, again, Cluj-Napoca. Please, your views.
Yes. To accelerate the reaching of these objectives, of course, we have to start with a universal truth that municipalities, as organizations, are not the most dynamic organizations that you will see. And of course, the vast majority also don't have the full capacity to accelerate in this direction. It's the case of Cluj-Napoca. I bet is the case for most of you. And that is why, as a continuation of what I was telling earlier, it's very, very important to keep those stakeholders close and keep them interested and involved in every step of these operations. To give you an example, now we have a net zero coalition, which is made up of basically the same people, the same teams as we had them when we applied for the 100 mission cities, and of course for different other initiatives in the past. So it's important to keep all of those people, all of those teams very close to the municipality, because municipalities cannot do things on their own. They have to have this citizen engagement tool very close to them. And of course, as in the case of Bologna, it's very similar because, of course, we have a lot of experience already in collaborating with all these wonderful cities in Europe, and we gather ideas from them, so it's pretty similar. Of course, we know that the major pollutants in the city are the buildings, or the idea of building and also using a building. This is the greenhouse emitter, and of course mobility. So other than keeping those people close to stimulate initiative, we also have to provide as a municipality the infrastructure needed for the other stakeholders to be able to also accelerate in this direction. I'm talking about increasing the quality of public transportation, about having bicycle lanes in a very coherent way, of having this 15-minute city also in a coherent way, and all sorts of examples in this direction. But in terms of Cluj-Napoca, what we're trying to do is also to set up an example. We have internally a guiding rule book for construction. So we have a few of circular economy principles, sustainability principles in what is everything that we build from scratch. And of course, we have a deep renovation program in which all of the buildings that belong to the municipality are going to be refurbished until 2026 or 27. I'm not really sure about the target, but I'm really sure that all of the schools will be refurbished within this period. Of course, this is trying to set up an example for all the others to try and do these types of interventions. And of course, we have incentives for that. We have incentives for refurbishing, for using renewable energy, and we also have punishment for those who don't refurbish their buildings. So yeah, in Cluj, if you don't refurbish your building and if it gets really degraded, you will have a penalty in tax. So it happens. So you have to take the carrot, but also the whip to keep things in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also about aligning the incentives. So how do we avoid the carbon lock, and how do we allow the buildings to switch from natural gas to electrification running with the renewables? This is a good thing for all of us to think about.
I just want to add a little bit of an idea. You're talking about, and I was talking about incentives. In Romania, they're stopping a program that helped people install PV cells on their homes, because there are so many of the people and the businesses that use them that the national energy system is having problems integrating it. So it's a huge phenomenon in Romania.
I'm sure Valencia will also have something to say about this.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, the question about how to accelerate action, because we have seen that there are a lot of projects that we are already doing. We know that we have a lot of experiences of initiatives and projects that have been successful. But if we are honest, all of our cities are very far from reaching climate neutrality in 2030. So we know that sustainability, like business as usual in sustainability, is not going to work, and we really need to think about how to be disruptive and how to accelerate the decarbonization of our cities. And in order to do that, I wanted to mention 3 or 4 things. The first thing is about governance. So basically, we have the ambition, we have the objectives, we have managed to have that, and now we see that there is a huge gap between ambition and real action in cities, in countries, in Europe in general. And I think that that's very related to governance. Like it was also mentioned now, how cities are managed and are structured internally and also externally. Like how all these strategies, climate city contract, and exercise like initiatives really have an impact on the daily job of public servants, on the departments of the municipality, on how the budget is allocated in the municipality, and so on. So there is how decisions are made internally in the municipality. I think there is a lot of room for improvement in the internal governance of municipality, but also external, like how to bring this collaboration with stakeholders of the city to a next stage and really involve them in the decision-making processes and in the governance of the city. So we really engage them, and they are really part of this collective mission. So we as cities are not alone leading it. Because as we have seen, and it has already been mentioned too, when we were developing our climate city contract, we saw that we estimated that only 7%, around 7% of the investments should come from the municipality. 93% of the investments should come from companies, associations, citizens, utilities, and so on. So there's a lot of work to do on the engagement of these stakeholders into the governance and the definition and the implementation of the projects in the city. So that's one thing. The other one is about financing. I think that we need to innovate and improve a lot the way we, get funds and get financed in the municipality to implement public projects, but also the way we facilitate financing for other stakeholders or for citizens. So I think we need to really improve or try to help the way financing gets to citizens or businesses that want to renovate their houses, want to renovate their buildings, want to change their car, or want to put PV panels, because the private sector is quite at least the feeling we have in Spain when we discuss this with banks and private investors, is that they are still in the business as usual mode. They want to invest on green projects, but the green projects need to be low risk and high profitability. So it's quite traditional financing way. And then the third aspect is about citizen engagement, which is not new, but we need to really be able to reach citizens and engage citizens so they care about the climate mission and about what we are doing. And it's very hard nowadays to really show that the climate mission and these policies and these projects are going to improve their life and are going to improve the city in which they live. So it's not only about reducing greenhouse gases emissions, it's about creating employment at local level, reducing air pollution, reducing noise pollution, having more space areas in which to be with your family and your friends. So all these co-benefits are the ones that we need to highlight so people really see the benefits of these climate change initiatives, and we are able to get them involved, and in the end they are the ones that need to also change the way they live in their daily habits. And the fourth one is also Cluj-Napoca was also mentioning, is about the stick and about restrictions and about I think we need to move on that direction, but of course with the social justice mindset. So restrictions should not be having a negative impact on the most vulnerable people in the cities. But we do need restrictions like for low emission zones, or now there's also a discussion about banning natural gas boilers in new buildings, green taxation, all these things. I think that those kind of restrictions should come from Europe and from national governments more than from cities. But again, they really should take into consideration social justice. So everyone is responsible of climate change, but some people and some entities are more responsible than others. So the ones that have more power, the ones that have more resources, the ones that pollute and consume more, should also be the ones that have these restrictions, and not the people that have less resources in the city. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for emphasizing the co-benefits, because I think it's very key. It's one of the ways to accelerate, and I'm curious, the citizens who are living in the low-carbon zones, they have better air quality, maybe they have better access to green spaces, maybe they can also, people will want to also convince other places to be also the low-emitting zones. Marcel, this is also relating to the urban planning, so how do you increase the integrated approach?
I think that the first thing is to avoid climate subject to be something apart from the rest of the public policies discussion. It's a risk. It's a bit like gender issues. When gender issues appeared in the public discussion agenda, it was something, and it's still something a bit apart from the rest. So you have a gender team who speaks of that, inequality of gender and everything, but they're not mainstreamed in the global decision making of the city. And it's a bit the same for the climate. We have a climate department which is very interesting, with very committed people to their work. But the difficulty is how you make this knowledge and this accurate challenge and vision penetrate the whole administration corps, and make sure that everyone is empowered, is taking conscience of the challenge we have to face. So for that, we developed an empowerment strategy towards both public and private sector, with people working for the municipality, but also for the other local authorities like region, department. We have in France many levels of administration. And we created an assembly of the future. It's a bit a citizenship assembly, which takes subjects and challenge the municipalities to obtain projects and discussion, and to get answers to the question they ask us. It's quite interesting. It's a beginning, and I think we need to accelerate on quick wins, because all those empowerment strategies, they are a long-term process, and people need to feel in their reality something changing, something demonstrating that, yes, we can not tackle them, but we can face the climate challenge, and we can do something to make our city more appropriate, more adapt to the situation. And it's difficult. We made this with a courtyard in schools that were in pure concrete, very hot, with no trees and everything, and we made them gardens. So the courtyards are getting transformed in real gardens, which are opened to the public, to the neighborhood. When the school is finished, then we open and it begins to be garden for the people who live there. So that's a quick win, and I think we need to accelerate on that, to give more proofs of evidence that we can do something, and that can improve the quality of living for the people. Because if not, climate is just something that makes anxiety, and that makes you feel you can't address it, and it's just constraint. We have to consume less, we have to move less, we have to use our cars less, and it's always less and less, and we have to demonstrate what we can win from that. The difficulty in Marseille is that we are a very poor city. We have nearly 30% of our population living under the poverty rates, which is for France absolutely huge. So when we discuss climate issues, we always face an opposition, even coming from the left-wing parties, saying, well, okay, climate, environment, but what for the poverty? What for the poor people? And there's a fake opposition between climate, environment, and social emergencies, so social justice. So I think we have to cross over, to go forward, and to make the demonstration that social justice and climate emergency are the same, because those who suffer more from the climate change are the poor, because they live in small house, smaller than the rest of us. They don't have parks, they don't have public facilities, which helps you deal with the climate change. So we need altogether to demonstrate that there's no opposition between social issues and environmental ones. And I think this is the point on which we need to accelerate, and we need to make a strong demonstration and rhetoric, argumentation, to make people feel that. And I think that the EU label, the fact that we share those experiences, is something we can use in the local debate to make people see that it's not some kind of a lobby, an idea of environment. It's something very concrete and very important for the people, and most of all for the poor people.
Something that we can underline, shifting the anxiety about climate change to agency, that we do have the power to change, and while we're doing this, not only providing co-benefits for everyone, but also addressing the social issues. So these are going hand in hand. Very important points. Now to our neighboring municipality, please, your views.
Yes, of course. In my point of view, it's essential to consider a multi-phased approach. The first, the alignment of national and local policies is crucial. As I said before, in Greece, we have the national climate law, and with the help of the recovery fund, we provide a unique opportunity for municipality. Really, we help them to change their attitude with great and their general environment with great projects. The alignment ensures that local initiatives are not only supported but also scaled through national resources. Another thing, in my point of view, it's very critical and helpful. It's the role of the transition teams. This role cannot be overstated. These multidisciplinary teams act as a nerve center, because they help municipalities not only for their planning, but also for the implementation and the monitoring. They can prioritize action, identify funding opportunities, and ensure that projects are in line with the with the timeline. Third, it's the partnership between the public and the private sector. You know, it's true, private sector, it's much more quick if we want to do a project. So I will give you a paradigm. In Municipality of Thessaloniki, the last 5 years, we have a smart parking. So the municipality every year gains more than 2 million euros. And this money can invest it to do sustainable urban planning projects, sustainable mobility, or other incentives. Can give this money as incentives. Fourthly, community engagement is the key. I'm thrilled with the program of 100 climate neutral cities, because, you know, if one of these municipality goes to an institution and say, okay, please help me and do the investment plan, do the action plan, do the communication plan, and bring them to them, they will never succeed, because it's critical to design plans with public, because plans without public, they will fail. It's true. Therefore, municipality must invest in public consultation. Another thing that, in my perspective, is critical is the use of technology for real-time technology and data analysis, speed up the feedback loop. Digital tools can also streamline municipal services, making them more efficient and less resource intensive. So, national and local policies, effective transition teams, public-private partnerships, community engagement, and the use of smart technologies are, in my point of view, key accelerators for achieving our climate mitigation targets and neutrality.
Thank you very much for emphasizing those key accelerators. Konya, I would like to come to you. Sizler de görüşlerinizi belirtebilir misiniz?
Teşekkürler. Aslında baktığımız zaman bütün şehirlerde benzer sorunlarla karşılaşıyoruz. Bizim için de bir tecrübe oldu.
Similar challenges, and I would like to thank all of my co-speakers for sharing their challenges. When we were preparing our adoption compliance plans, I mentioned 11 different sectors, and training, awareness was the focus point of these plans, because we saw a lack of awareness. And secondly, speaking specifically for Konya, in Konya it is a drought city, and 10% of our area faces floods, on the other hand. So while we're doing our plans, you have to be as local as possible. And when I say local, you need to go to the farmers, you need to go to the district governors, the headmen, you need to get everyone's input. As for space planning, when we're doing spatial planning, we definitely need to take the climate impact into consideration. That's why we need a multidisciplinary approach. Now, a person who's an expert in agriculture may not be an expert in water management, or vice versa. Someone who's an expert in water management may not know anything about animal husbandry. So we need this multidisciplinary approach, and that's what we do. We have realized that. And regionally, to the extent possible, as I said, you need to go as local as possible. I'm speaking for Konya. There are certain regions where you can be energy efficient and some areas where you can't, because we're also a historic city. Some historic buildings don't allow you to, for example, reduce air pollution because of coal usage. But when we look at renewable energy resources, we are, of course, trying to maximize our usage. We also need to increase technical and financial support. As the public sector, we can't provide too much support, but on a ministry level, this support needs to be increased. As municipalities, for the private sector, we need to increase our trainings. Because we're running out of time, I will end my speech there. Thank you. Eskisehir?
This process mainly depends on the conception of energy. However, in Turkey, the municipal authority is limited to mitigation. So, collaboration with external stakeholders plays a key role for us. In the same way, collaboration should be established with internally. For example, we built an energy commission in our municipality, and we decide which energy investments to be carried out by multidisciplinary decision systems. Additionally, as a data scientist, I would like to highlight the importance of the data because both of mitigation and targets depends on it. So collecting detailed data provides detailed planning. So municipality can decide which climate-friendly infrastructure to invest in. However, as a metropolitan municipality, we have limited financial resources. For example, our transportation system should be operated by electricity, but we don't have required financial resources. At the same point, it doesn't matter how good plan you have in your hands. It is the matter how much resources you have to invest in and to make it realize. So these kind of investments should be supported by feasible loans and more grants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a very important third question, so I'm going to ask for a demand shift. You don't want to go outside, you want to stay inside. And I'm going to request 10 minutes more, so we have enough time to complete our third question. If we can go to the next slide, bir sonraki yansı lütfen. Our third question is relating to, do you have specific recommendations and views to strengthen and broaden cities, learning from cities along the path to climate neutrality? And Bologna, you can have the first intervention.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. I think that we need to make things together, not just learning from each other. I think we are in a phase where we must, step by step, find common solution, discuss how to do it, and cooperate. And I think that we, so far the mission was incredible, a way to exchange experiences at a technical level, but I think we also have to work at a political level more. And we always say that neutrality is not neutral. You have many ways to reach neutrality, so we must discuss and have a real, also political debate on how to reach it.
Thank you very much and all for your contributions during the session. Cluj-Napoca.
Yeah, I'm going to have to respectfully ask you to repeat the question because it's not on the...
Yes, the question is, do you have specific recommendations for increasing and broadening cities, learning from cities along the path to climate neutrality? So how to increase more what Cluj-Napoca can share with the other cities and vice versa?
Okay. I think the cooperation, the vast collaboration that Cluj-Napoca has with a lot of European cities has helped us a lot in gaining inputs from them, stealing ideas and making them happen in Cluj-Napoca. And I think the key to increasing this type of integration with other European cities is collaboration through different projects, different initiatives. That's the way ideas are exchanged. So only by having direct contact with other municipalities, that is a very good way of exchanging information. And I would just give you an example. Earlier this year, also on a TAIEX initiative, we had an exchange with Krakow in Poland. We went there for a couple of days and they got back to Romania, to Cluj-Napoca, after a few weeks, and we had very specific exchange of ideas on site with specific problems, specific discussions, specific solutions that all of us found on the way. So just by collaborating, I think that is the sole solution in this matter.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, for us it's super important and interesting to collaborate with other cities and to learn from what other cities are doing. Although I also wanted to mention that it's weird that we are always willing to collaborate with each other and share our experiences and so on, but in reality, we have to compete a lot of times because we have to compete to be one of the cities' mission, we have to compete for the mission label, we have to compete to access Horizon Europe. Even at national level, we have to compete all the time with the other Spanish cities to access next generation funds. So there's kind of a competition culture among cities. But I'm very happy that once we meet, it's everyone wants to collaborate and share their best practices and their work with each other. One very practical thing that for us is very useful is to do study visits to other cities to see with your eyes some specific projects, like very technical or non-technical, but very like to see this is the energy community that we promoted there, or this is the nature-based solution that we did in this area, and to be able to go there and see it in your eyes, it's quite more, usually it's quite more interesting and productive than just sharing ideas in a forum. Although we've also faced the problem of sometimes it's the same people in the municipality that travel to these places, like it's the European department or the innovation department or the climate change department that go to all these places. So it would be also very nice to be able to involve politicians, for instance, like do these political study visits to other cities or other departments, or lawyers, for instance, like do the lawyers of the municipality talk to each other and collaborate and share their experiences with legal documents and so on. But yeah, and then this is a bit also, they told me we had to be honest, So this is a small criticism. When we do this peer learning, we also should take into consideration the carbon footprint of all these study visits, events, forums, and so on, because in the end, it's a lot of people traveling by plane all around Europe, and that's something that also, a direct negative impact that also a lot of people, like citizens, neighbors of our cities, see this as a lack of credibility or legitimacy.
Thank you very much. So Cluj-Napoca is closer to us, less carbon footprint. Valencia and Porto, they're having but you're providing a lot of good ideas, so maybe we can increase more the energy communities and then we can be equal. Marcel, you have the next intervention.
Well, I fully agree with what was said before by Mauro and the other. I think that maybe we could start from concrete operational questions that each city asks itself and doesn't know how to take them. For example, my two questions representing the city of Marseille. My first one is how to make jobs made out of the climate change and created by the necessary ecological transition. I see it. I know that in theory it's real and that we will create jobs and that many actual professionals will have to change jobs, but that will create economical activity. But locally in Marseille, I don't know really, I can't see where to go. And the private sector always answers, yes, well, we'll see later. And I think we don't anticipate enough the evolution of the professional skills that will be required by the ecological transition. So that will be my first question, and I don't know if we could share about this in the month coming. My second one is that since the climate is changing, we have to look down south. I'm speaking from Marseille. The climate in Marseille will be the climate that we actually have in Morocco or in Senegal in the coming years. So I think that maybe it would be interesting to inverse the perspective between northern cities and southern one, because they have knowledge that we don't have already in Europe, because we were not facing the same climates. So I think it would be very interesting in the coming steps to integrate countries that are facing the climate conditions that we will face in the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I will start with that. Yes, the cities can serve as living laboratories. It's experimenting with solutions that can be replicated, scaled, and adapted by others. So for this reason, I believe that we have to establish a city-to-city mentorship program like the Twin program, which is something unique. We can create a digital repository, which maybe will be an online platform that can host case studies, research papers, and project reports from various cities. Also, we can learn from each other for our failures, not only from the success. Regular forums and webinars, like this one. We have to involve more the academic and research institutions, leverage EU networks and funding, like the government of mayor for climate and energy can provide not just funding, but also a platform for cities to collaborate on a large scale. It's important. Also, another thing is to localize global goals. We have sustainable development goals. Okay, climate neutrality is the umbrella, but in my point of view, we have to find a way to collaborate with, to use the indicators and all this valuable information. Also, it's important to incorporate citizen science engaging local communities in data collection is something that we can use. In the end, maybe there is a competition, yes, but among cities. But we are here because we follow the guidelines of European Green Deal. And in the end, all the cities in Europe must be neutral till 2050. Not only for us, but also for our children. Thank you.
Awareness raising activities play an important role in this subject, and I can recommend that a digital question portal can be established, and municipalities can share their problems in that platform, and they can find the solution quickly by matching the experienced municipalities. And on the other hand, in the monitoring and evaluation process, the city data can be shared with other municipalities, so the other municipalities can share their experience in this subject. Thank you.
İklim konusunda belediyeler ve kurumlar arasında gerçekten bir rekabet olduğu doğru ama
Climate, yes, there is a competition between municipalities and various institutions, but we must accept that climate is changing, and that does not just impact our city, it impacts the whole world. So I believe all municipalities and public institutions need to be transparent in that sense. And I believe all projects and documents should be shared on a single portal where everyone can benefit from them. And if everyone can then select the project that meets their needs, I believe that can accelerate our actions. And another issue is capacity. We need to build the capacity of communication between the stakeholders.
Speakers, our panelists, we made this panel very effective together. So with all of your perspectives and sharings, it has been very fruitful and effective. So we started with the urgency of climate change. But we also saw that through this panel, cities are providing solutions to address climate change, but only if we learn, share, and plan together. So this is the reason that accelerating the progress for climate neutrality is so important, because cities are leading the way for the entire world to take quicker action. So we need sustained and rapid and accelerated progress towards mitigating the greenhouse gas emissions as quickly as possible and as inclusive as possible. So also showing that by mitigating the emissions, we can also provide social benefits and even address the structural issues with energy poverty. So sustainable development and climate change and climate mitigation go hand in hand. When we do something positive for climate mitigation, it can also mean that we are doing something positive for sustainable development, not only for environment, of course, we're going to secure a better climate future, but also for the people. And if we even increase, increasingly, the health of the world is connected to the health of the people. So from this planetary health is also very important. So once again, we started with the urgency of addressing climate change, and now through this panel and other examples with all the mission cities and twin cities, pilot cities, we do have the solutions to take the necessary and required action for our climate future. So please join me in thanking all of our panelists.